Pride mixed with anxiety, hoping everything will be working as planned, but also very proud of the work the group has achieved and the team has been delivering over the winter to create a brand new car. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed feeling, but overall happy to go racing again, because that's what we like to do. And yeah, as I said, a sort of mix of pride and a bit of anxiety, humility, because we know also how tough our industry is. Well, it should be quicker. That's probably the most important topic. Quicker, and hopefully quicker than what our competition will have done. Also, reliability is a big topic for us, because last season wasn't as good as previous season. So that's an area where we have had quite a lot of things to do. But for people outside, the car will mostly be different from its visual aspect. It's a big step in terms of aerodynamics, which is a natural evolution of last year's car, but also the trends you can see across the pit lane on some areas where conceptually we had still potential to grab. So yeah, it should be pretty obvious when you see the car. Well, the FIA changed the rules between last year and this year again. They modified the rules on the floor, so for spectators it might be a detail, but for us it required quite a lot of overhaul and a redefinition of the floor area. So it's not like the rules were absolutely stable. Effectively, where we had the conclusion of last season for us as a team is probably the season is not over up until the last lap, because it has been a very, very tight finish for us, which means we need to be mentally prepared for an exhausting and a long season, where probably every weekend will be a big fight in the midfield. I hope we will be able to fight for the upper part of the midfield, but it's going to be I suppose, and I assume, very, very tight between 4 or 5 teams, and you don't have a lot of places left to score points. So it's going to be interesting to see who in average execute best and does least mistake, while trying to, during the season, bring as many aero updates as possible to keep the performance, to keep improving the performance of the car. So it's going to be, again, a very, very long season. Well, as long as we are not running pole position and winning the races, there are enough examples on the pit lane showing you that there is still potential to get. So the development curve hasn't reached a plateau, and I hope it will not reach a plateau, because we know also the delta still to the top teams, and ultimately midterm, that's where we want also to be moving to. So it better doesn't plateau during the season. I wouldn't be very happy about that unless we are, as I said, running at the forefront of the field. But it's unlikely to happen. So we need to keep our head down, and even if there are weeks in the wind tunnels that are difficult, where you do not necessarily find performance, we need to then just question ourselves and do the extra effort and go the extra mile to get the performance gradient to be positive again, because there are some cars that are quicker around us, so it is possible to find performance. Yes, and as I said, the FIA changed the rule in a very important part on the floor area to address the porpoising topic. But it was a big performance loss, aero performance loss for all the teams, which means it's a kind of local reset. And therefore, as all the teams have limited wind tunnel runs and CFD runs by regulation, it is very likely that nobody will have already found the optimum of the rules over the winter. And if a plateaus and potentially end of the season for the front runner or next year, assuming the regulation would remain stable, because every modification of the rules is kind of a local reset, and therefore you are falling down from your local optimum, and you need to climb back and potentially find a higher optimum. So it never really stops. I mean, there's always a bit of performance to find. As a feedback was very important before we even went testing in 2022, thanks to the work we did with them in the simulator. And then during the season, the kind of technical feedback about the limitations they were suffering from was very clear, and it wasn't down to us to fix it. And partially toward the last third of the season, we were able to address some big limitations they were complaining about. So it's going to be, I hope, continuing like this with even more in-depth quality of their feedback. And I'm also hoping both will be simply doing themselves also the next step, because we are often speaking about improving the car, but the guy sitting between the seat and the steering wheel has also a big role to play. So it's also quite clear that they are a large contributor, and I'm really hoping some of the areas where they can and have to improve, we will also see the needed step, because it's going to be as important as having a quick and reliable car. No. Let's get racing and let's see where we are. But irrelevant of where we are in the first 2-3 races, the season is going to be 23 races long. So it's about keeping the distance and not giving up. We started very well last year, and then we had a difficult part in the season. Some people started worse than we were and were able to put us under pressure or even overtake us at some point. So it's not a sprint. It's a marathon that is 23 races long. So we need to keep in mind that the season is not over after 1 or 2 races. The season is over after 23 races. And therefore, the entire team will have to show that resilience and that endurance to effectively try to, whatever happens, we will have good weekend, we will have potentially bad weekends, to come back and always try to improve and fight back, because the season will be over last lap in Abu Dhabi, as we have seen last year, where we finished less than half a second ahead of our biggest competitor. So it should be also an inspiration for everyone. It's about keeping focus on the target and continue to grow, continue to work on all the areas we need to improve as a team, as a company, and continue the journey, because it's just the beginning of a relative long journey for us.